Warriors are pretty much an all-star roster with arguably 4 of the best players in the league and 2 of the top 5 with Steph Curry and KD. Here's how they stack up in the playoffs. Steph leads the team in points, but Durant leads the team in field goal percentage in his first run with the Dubs. But which player is most key, or I should say major key, shout out to DJ Khaled, right, in the finals? Would you say it's Durant or Curry?
It's Steph. And listen, Durant defensively and everything else. Stephen A., I'll let you get into some of that stuff if you like Durant. But the answer is Steph. And the challenge is going to be to make sure that he's the engine of the offense, because I have noticed in these playoffs, Stephen A., one guy gets hot, the other guy doesn't get touches. I mean, they still haven't done that entirely perfectly the way you'd want them to. Really, who Durant came in to replace with Harrison Barnes. He needs to be super Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is a good player. But if Harrison Barnes hits, one more shot, one of those misses from 3 goes in, Warriors are defending champs right now. I think Kevin Durant's capable of doing that. And that's one of the reasons Kevin Durant went there, right? Who's going to take the last shot, Westbrook or Durant? Have the open man take the last shot. That's how they play in Golden State. And that's really important for them to play that way, particularly when there's going to be pressure on Durant from people like you, maybe foremost you, Stephen A. You need to see him show up as a closer in the final moments and all that kind of stuff. There's going to be pressure to kind of be the man. And he's going to have to, if not defer at times, just play the right way. That's what's of paramount importance to this team, that Steph and Durant and everybody play the right way. The good news for them is that's basically their temperament, to play the right way. But it's not to play hero ball to satisfy the critics. I don't think Durant will do that anyway. The temptation's going to be on any given possession. You go to Durant, because Durant, among everyone on that team, has the best chance to score on any given possession. It's like a quarterback who can run. If he can always pick up the first down with his legs, why wouldn't he? Well, because if you always do that, you don't develop pocket awareness, right? So sometimes your long-term incentive, developed as a quarterback, should get in the way of your short-term incentive. Pick up that first down and not vice versa. Similarly here for Golden State. The long-term incentive, win the title, should get in the way of the short-term incentive. Give yourself the best opportunity to score on any given possession, which is to go through your biggest offensive threat, who is Kevin Durant. If they can resist that temptation, and I think they can, Steph Curry will be the most important offensive player, that will be the team's engine, and they'll win the title.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that it's beautiful to sit up here and be across and debating Larry Brown, because, you know, I never thought I'd have the luxury of debating Larry Brown later on in my career. But it's nice to be sitting across from Larry Brown, debating and play the right way, be unselfish. The open man takes the last
That's
shot,
right.
Blah, blah, blah. Larry Brown, nice to see you, sir. Here's the reality.
Great NBA coach. Thank you very much.
Here's the day. He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. I love him dearly. One of the greatest moments of my career was covering him every day for 6 years. I love Larry Brown. He should be a coach in the NBA right now, as far as I'm concerned. That's a different subject for another day. Here's the reality, Max Kellerman. Kevin Durant is the most important player for the Golden State Warriors. I expect Steph Curry to be great. I expect Steph Curry to wreak havoc. I expect Curry to make amends for his performance last year, because I think the combination of him not being 100% combined with being lollygagging around and being a little bit too loose with the basketball, with behind-the-back passes that ended up in turnovers at key pivotal moments. Those are the kind of things that I don't believe are going to happen this time around. He's not just a sensational player and shooter and scorer. He's also highly intelligent. He's not going to make the same mistakes twice. But even with all of that being said, I expect Kyrie to have an answer. I think that Kevin Love will be better offensively this go-round than he was last year. I expect Draymond to have an answer. I think Jaja and JaVale will be present. I expect Tristan Thompson to have an answer. It comes down to LeBron, and it comes down to Kevin Durant. And LeBron, when he had to worry about Harrison Barnes, didn't have to worry about him at all. Allowed to freelance, to cheat, to help out, to do a lot of things he's not going to be able to do just because Kevin Durant is on the floor. You have to guard him. And the person that's going to have to guard him is going to have to be LeBron James, because if Tristan Thompson or somebody tries to guard him, then you're pulling Tristan away from the basket. You might sacrifice rebounds in that regard, and Tyronn Lue is not going to do that. So that's one of the biggest reasons why Kevin Durant is so important, because he has to be guarded. And the way to make sure that he's guarded is if he's productive offensively. The other point to all of that is very, very simple. Listen, this is going to be insulting to a lot of people. To me, I'm just talking basketball. You don't get to be one of the top 3 players on the planet who leaves a Western Conference, finalist to join the champion of that conference in a month and then just ride the gravy train. I expect Kevin Durant to have significant say in the outcome of these proceedings, not to be a spectator. And what I'm talking about is the fourth quarter. I'm talking about when it matters. This is what I expect. This is what I believe he needs to do to validate him as a champion. If Kevin Durant isn't seen, if there's an APB out for him in the fourth quarter when it counts, if LeBron is all up in him and he doesn't have an answer and he wilts beneath that pressure, because we all know that people in the league believe that LeBron has been his kryptonite. If you don't show up when it counts with the money on the line, I'm sorry, I'm going to look at you and I'm not going to see a champion.
I'm not going to dismiss that point. I'm not going to dismiss that point. Even as I say, the open man takes the last shot. One of the reasons, if you like the Cavs, is they have 2 guys. I know LeBron's reputation is not as a closer, but he is one.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
But he
and
can.
Kyrie is
He's
too.
Not, but he can.
And Kyrie is too. And on the Warriors last year, the problem was no one really stepped up in those closing moments. They weren't functioning very well as a team, and they didn't have someone who created for them and got them what they needed, as the Cavs did. They had 2 guys, actually. Okay, fine. That's a legitimate point. I'm not just going to dismiss that. And Kevin Durant, as I mentioned, his length on defense really gives them something. Here's where I disagree.
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes them different. Here's where I disagree. You talk about LeBron's importance on his team and Kevin Durant's on his. One of the advantages the Cavs have is who's their primary ball handler? Well, sometimes it's LeBron and sometimes it's Kyrie. Kevin Durant's not going to be the primary ball handler. Even when Steph is moved off ball, it's not like Durant then becomes your point guard. And offensively, that's what makes these teams go. In the modern NBA, that's what makes it go. The primary ball handler who can get to the paint, hit the 3, and distribute wisely to his teammates.
See,
on the Golden State Warriors, that's Steph.
That's a scientific, analytical way of going about doing it, and I'm not trying to dismiss it. But what I'm trying to say is that it comes down to ball. And what I mean by that is this, Max. When it's on the line, I'm looking for you. When everything else fails, when everything else falls apart, when it's at some point on a basketball court, it comes down to me and you. What you gonna do? And I'm telling you, I'm gonna be looking for him.
Yep.
I'm not gonna be looking for Steph Curry. I'm gonna be looking for Kevin Durant. You too great to be a spectator now.
Here's the thing.
I'm not going for that.
I'll give you that if it comes down to who wants it, and KD don't want it, and Steph don't want it, then we could say that. Stephen A., in 4 of those games, it may not come down to who wants it if Golden State has a big lead at the end.
Are you willing to concede that even if Steph is going ballistic, you can tell the difference watching basketball as to whether or not somebody else wanted it? There's a difference between somebody wanting it and somebody taking it.
Yeah, that's
you see
fair.
what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
They got a 15-point lead with 2 minutes to go. It don't matter, though. That's my point.
Let's wrap it up, gentlemen, because we got to talk a little Big Blue. You like that, Max. The Giants are expecting big things from Odell this season, but find out what the star receiver is doing that should worry fans of the G-Men. Plus, Kobe and LeBron are 2 of the greatest players in NBA history, but find out which Hall of Famer thinks LeBron has a ways to go